here, let me ask you these two last questions here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that Jalen Hurts gets a second contract in Philly?
Really, if I were putting my money on it?
Yeah.
No, I would say no.
Back into the draft. And I'm going to ask Garry Cobb from Fox 29, and Gary joins us now here on the National Football Show. Gary, get this, man. A.J. Brown and Deebo Samuel, and I get Terry McLaurin from Washington will probably not be in the conversation if there was a potential for the Eagles to look at a big-time wide receiver. You're not going to trade inside the division. So I'm just going to leave it with A.J. and with Deebo. These are two guys that have said now they're not going to show up to OTAs or mini camps, and that they're not going to show up to these facilities unless they get a new contract. They saw what Tyreek Hill got, and they see what Stephon Diggs got. If you're Howie, wouldn't you think that standing in line either with the 49ers or with Mike Vrabel and the Titans, that this would be something that you would stand in there and in line for? These guys could transform your huddle if you're Howie Roseman. Why isn't he doing this?
I have no idea. I mean, I thought he would be more aggressive. Clearly, I see they probably have a time clock in their head. And the whole thing points at Jalen. Do they feel they could win something this year? So I don't know if they're interested in and maybe he's thinking this, and also he got his contract. I mean, you got other people getting contracts and stuff. But anyway, how he got, 3-year deal. So that 3-year deal, I think, affects his thinking. Because now he says, look, I'm going to be here. So I don't know if that might be one of the reasons now where he's not going to be as aggressive, that he says, look, I'm going to be here 3 years. I wouldn't have a problem if we're looking at next year is when we're gonna go all the way in. And maybe that's part of the reason he's not being as aggressive, because clearly when somebody opens up, when an opportunity opens up, usually he's going to be doing something, even if he's not doing it out in front of everybody.
How about this, Gary? I get people over here in the chat and talking to me about being a hater on Jalen. I'm not a hater on Jalen. I just think Jalen's limited. I don't see a 4,500-yard passer. And to me, if you're comfortable finishing 7th in the NFC, well, then Jalen's your guy.
Yeah.
I mean, there's certain people are going like this. I don't see Jalen Hurts, a 4,500-yard passer, and winning the NFC with that style that they want. Now, look, Gary, if they go back to the 2022 style where they're going to run the ball and there's going to be 38 carries and he's going to have 25 throws, and they want that style, there may be an opportunity. But they're contradicting themselves when they talk publicly saying, we want a prolific passer. He ain't that guy.
I mean, he hasn't proven he can be that guy yet. I mean, that's just flat out. I mean, and all you got to do is look at the Tampa Bay game. When it's all on the line, he's not recognizing the coverage. And, can he make the throws? He hasn't proven he can make the throws consistently. See, you got to be able to be accurate. I might even say accuracy might be the number one thing throwing the ball when it comes to physically throwing the ball, because you got to be accurate. You got to be able to put it in there. I probably would say that might be his weakest part of his game, is that sometimes he just misses the guy. It's not even close. And you got to be consistent. You got to be able to do it week in and week out, where you put it there. You put it there again and again. And that's the marquee quarterbacks. Those are those special quarterbacks who can put it in there every time. And, that's what the NFL is now, because if you do have that, because of the rules, with the way that they have the rules with the wide receivers and the rules with hitting the quarterback and things, it's hard for a defense to really totally stop you. They really can't. You got to kind of stop yourself, because if you got an accurate passer like that, he's going to throw for 200, 300 yards, nearly every game.
How about this, Gary? So the playoff game was in January, and you and I and Seth Joyner and everybody, Troy Aikman, were saying Throw the damn ball outside. He's wide open. Throw the ball, throw the ball, throw the ball.
Yeah.
First part of the question, you think you can really improve your reading of a defense in 3 months?
Not to the extent I think he's going to need, I think you're looking at, I think he's long-term to me. That's what I see with Jalen. He is going to get better gradually, but is it going to be overnight? It's not going to be overnight. You usually don't do those things overnight, where somebody just, they weren't good in that area, and now it's just a feel, because you got to have such a feel for the game. Now, the kid at Alabama right now,
Bryce Young
sees the field like a pro quarterback. He sees everything. I mean, the kid's just got great vision. He's got that. And that's why people are lining up, because these quarterbacks coming out this next draft, they got some guys that you're really confident you can put in there and say, okay, we're building our team around this kid right now. We're going
Tyler Van Dyke at Miami would be another kid. The kid's 6'4.5". I watched the spring game, and I thought that he played exceptional. Well, okay, well, all that being said, then, you and I are talking about accuracy issues and also about reading defenses. Garry, what would be the point of the Eagles drafting a guy? You just drafted a first-round wide receiver, and he struggled getting the ball to him. So say I have 2 Devontae Smiths.
Yeah.
He can't find the first one.
Yeah, I know, but
what's the point of going out and getting another one when you can't find the one? And these coordinators are now going to do this. They're going to set the edge. Yeah. They're going to bull rush up the middle, and they're going to make him throw over the offensive line. And I think this is going to be a struggle for him this year.
Well, I tell you, I wouldn't be surprised if they grab another one of the wide receivers, though. And knowing the way they think, there's only certain positions they're going to get in that first round. They're not going to get an offensive lineman. I don't think they're going to get it. I don't think they're going to get one of the tackles or anything. So I think they're out. Pass rusher, wide receiver. I don't know that they're maybe they grab that linebacker, but they haven't done that yet. So I would say wide receiver, pass rusher, edge rusher. It's really rich when you look at the wide receivers they have. Now, I don't know if they would go after Jameson Williams because, he's hurt. He's that type of talent. But Olave and then the other kid from Ohio State. What's his name? Garrett.
Yes.
His first name is Garrett. But he's the kid. One of those kids, I could see him getting a wide out.
Yeah, Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, I could see him getting a wide out. Either that or he's going to get one of those edge rushers. They need an edge rusher. I mean, they need a pass rusher. They got Reddick, but I think they would like to get a young kid. That's something I think. So the wideouts or a pass rusher, somebody that affects the passing game, that is the way they see it. That's the way they believe the game is played. I got to kind of agree with them. If you want to win, you got to be able to throw the ball. You got to be able to shut down the other team's passing game. You need a pass rusher. And the other position is cornerback. So all those guys now, I look at some of these kids, I would not be surprised at a cornerback because they need one, because they really don't have anybody over there that's really a shutdown guy. And you got an outstanding corner on one side, but they lost the kid. Steven Nelson is leaving anyway, but you got the kid from Cincinnati. This is Ahmad Gardner. Marcus Jones, kid from Houston. Andrew Booth from Clemson. I don't know which one they like the most.
But kid Trent McDuffie from Washington.
I could see a corner being a guy that. So it's good. Wide receiver, corner, or outside pass rusher. That's what you're going to have. Edge
Garry,
rusher.
why
those positions?
Why the hesitance to really affect the linebacking core? What would a good linebacker be? And educate me on it, please, because you've been around this organization for decades now. What's the hesitancy at the linebacker position?
They just feel that the guys that are up front affect the game more. But I think they're mistaken, though, at that linebacker position when you've got a marquee guy that can run. You got a guy with the speed, but you got to have, these elite players. I mean, but, You see other teams, they got the elite player. You got a guy that can run. He's running up, 4-4, 4-3, wide, a running back, I mean, not a running back, but a linebacker who can run with running backs, who can run with tight ends, and even run with wide receivers at times. But you need a guy like that. Is a great cover guy. He's got to be a tackling machine. He's the number one pick. He's that important. You got to have, because if you don't have a guy like that, that guy is a target. They're going to beat him to death. That's why the linebackers they can't cover. They can't cover the marquee players.
Would you trade up, Gary, to go get Stingley?
Would I trade up? I mean, depends on what the trade is going to be for. Now, I could see that happening because they trade one of those later picks. They're not going to trade that other first-round pick.
No.
But some of the later picks, because they got so many. What, they got 10 picks?
Yeah.
They could trade some of those other picks and move up. So I could see that. And I wouldn't be surprised that happens in the first round. They see somebody that, let's say, is not going to go past 10. He's not going to be there. They go up, they get him, because they do have the picks to do that. But
so if Gardner or Stingley are, say, around 9,
go get him.
Go get him.
Go get him. Go get him. If you got to give up a couple of picks, you need a marquee guy. So if you have a special corner, a guy who's going to come in and he's that guy, you go up and get him. I think they're going to do that. I think that's why they went after the extra picks. See, they got so many picks, they can be aggressive in this draft. And then, of course, they're set up to be aggressive next year, probably, but they'll be looking at that quarterback position next year, depending on what Jalen does. And right now, they're going to be looking there. So
Gary, with the contract extension of you said something very interesting that I hadn't thought about. Do you think Jeffrey Lurie went to Howie Roseman and said, you're going to get a 3-year contract extension. You don't have to build a Super Bowl team in 1 year. You think the private conversation is this? You're going to get a chance to build this team back up again and build it into a Super Bowl. And that may be at the demise of Jalen Hurts or even maybe Nick Sirianni.
Yeah.
That may be at at those guys' failures, but the relationship between the general manager, going back to Joe Banner, and how he has built these teams since 1995, since he's owned the team, the way I look at it, he really leans on these GMs a lot here. And do you think, because of what you said, because you said he probably believes now he's got the latitude and the time now to build this thing back up, you think the GM and the owner have had that conversation where he's been guaranteed the opportunity to build this team back up?
I think, no doubt. I think that's the reason that deal was done. Look at the timing when it was done.
Yeah, no question.
Okay? There is no doubt. And I think that Jeffrey Lurie knows the game. He knows, hey, look, I want you looking at the long term. So he works out that deal there. And they might have talked about it previously where, Howie was honest with him, saying, hey, I need to be looking at the big picture here, especially with the quarterback situation, where I don't see the guy in this draft. So, give me a few more years so I can make the right move for this club. It's going to be in the best interest of the team. And I really think it is in the best interest of the team that they made the deal, give Howie a couple more years, because they can't just look at it as a 1-year thing. It's longer than that. And so right now, I really don't honestly think that they really feel they have the quarterback there. That's why I think was part of giving them that deal too, because they want to get that quarterback put into place.
Gary, I look at that 17 Super Bowl now, and I mentioned this in the last hour. I was like, to me, I'm not calling it a 1-year wonder, but this team was not built for sustaining success.
That's
4
right.
years later, Gary, they won 4 ball games after winning the Super Bowl. Yeah. So it wasn't built for long-term success. I think you're onto something, man. I think what he went to him and said, let's build this thing up here, not get rid of the draft choices. I was going to ask you about Kyler Murray and the potential of the Eagles. Why would they do that now when the general manager, like you said, if he's going to do anything, he's going to go into the draft next year or maybe even later round, second round or third round this year with a quarterback on a rookie contract so that he can continue to build the team up from the 53rd guy up. So I think you've hit it here. That's why there's been no rush in free agency.
Yeah, I think that if they really have, they're going to not be as aggressive. I think they're thinking, 2-3 year deal. They're thinking they got, a team they can build, and they're going to look at the cornerback position, the pass rushers, offensively. They look at the wide receiver position, throwing the ball, but they know they need the quarterback. And I don't really think. I mean, there's nothing against Jalen. I have to say a million times I like the kid and everything, but I don't think they think he's the answer right now. They don't think he's the answer. So that's why that was part of the reason that deal was done with Howie. And I think that's the way they're looking at it. But you can believe that they're going to try to do something cornerback, at the edge rushers. The kid Davis, he's a monster. That kid from Georgia.
Jordan Davis.
He's not going to be there, though. A kid running
yeah,
that
but one
fast,
of them Georgia kids, one of them Georgia, you know what? You know what's crazy, Gary?
Yeah.
This is like your old Southern Cal teams.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to go wrong with one of them guys coming off them old Southern Cal teams.
No, that's right. I mean, and they had something down there with Georgia. They played at a level, so you are getting something. You get one of those kids, but that kid Jordan Davis is like from another planet, man. Kid that big 340 running a 4.78. They got it. Man, there's no way. You're not going to find people like that. So he's going to be off probably top 5. He's gone. So
Gary, did you play with Charles White and Marcus Allen?
That's right.
Yeah. Hold on. Those are your running backs?
Those were the running backs. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, we had a lot of guys. I mean, Munoz was on the team. Come on, think about, the people you had, Hey,
wait a minute. Wait, I told Anthony this. He missed get this, folks.
Yeah.
Anthony Munoz missed his entire year. He plays in the Rose Bowl. I think he's the 3rd pick in the draft, and he goes out and plays 14.
That's right. Oh, he was a special player, when he came in, you could see the kid was special. I mean, as big as he was like some of the kids now where he can move. I mean, you got a guy moving like that because he was the 3rd baseman on the baseball team.
Was
man.
Batman with you?
No, Batman had left. Batman had gone. So he had just been out of there. But that element, the competitiveness and everything, that's what was there, man. You had to compete to get on the field.
Gary, you know what? You guys, you and Pitt were us at University of Miami.
Yeah.
You were before everyone was like, oh, Miami's got all this. I was like, man, you see that old line with Brad Buddy and Munoz and Don Mosbar.
That's right.
And all them dudes. Charles White. And
that's right.
Marcus Allen.
And one of Bruce Matthews, this son of a gun, I think he might have been a Pro Bowler maybe almost 15 years, man.
Yeah. So wait a minute. Bruce Matthews and Munoz are on that old line too?
That's right.
And Mosbar?
That's right.
All right, man. I got a couple.
Hey, that's why Charles White was running for what? 2,000 yards.
Yeah, man. You guys were just dynamite, man. No question about it there.
Yep.
Here, let me ask you these 2 last questions here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that Jalen Hurts gets a second contract in Philly?
Really, if I were putting my money on it?
Yeah.
No, I would say no. I can't see him. I can't see it right now because the jump you're asking him to make, and clearly, if he doesn't make the jump, he's not going to get the money. I mean, they can't throw that kind of money out.
You think he's a 4,500-yard passer?
I don't see that right now. I don't see that. No, I don't see that.
You think Dak Prescott gets a second contract?
I mean, Prescott. I mean, he doesn't impress me as much as a lot of people hype about him. I don't see it with him, but with Jalen, I think one day he's going to be a marquee guy, but I think that might be 5-6 years from now. I think he's going to get better and better and better, but because he's a worker. So, but I don't see that they're going to just flip. 1 year he's going to make that big of a jump. Now I hope I'm wrong, but I don't see it. And the thing about it is, I think those guys over there at South Philly, they don't believe he is either.
Because if they did, there'd be players around him.
That's right. Well, right now, they would have gone after it. If they thought they had the guy at that position, they would have been going after it, but they don't believe it. So right now, what they're doing is they're saying, look, let's get young kids. We don't mind getting young kids because we don't think we have all the pieces right now anyway. And so we're just going to try to, add to a cornerback, a wide receiver, get a marquee guy that when the guy does, we have that quarterback in here, then we're going to be ready to go. And I think that's what they're thinking.
I think you hit it, man. I think that contract extension.
That's right.
Should have told us all we needed to know about where they're going over the next 3 years.
Yep. I think
absolutely. Gary, I appreciate it, my friend. Thank you so much.
Hey, have a good one.
You bet. Garry Cobb, Fox 29. I want to hit on that. The contract extension is why Jalen Hurts will not get a second contract in Philadelphia. It makes sense now. Completely makes sense. Howie's been given time now at the expense of maybe even Nick Sirianni. We'll get to that here in a minute, but Morgan & Morgan, proud sponsors of the National Football Show with your boy Big Sills here. And I love this line. The fee is free. You know what that means? They don't get paid unless you do when it comes to your compensation. If you get hurt on the job or you get injured on the job, finding a lawyer, like John Morgan tells me all the time, one of the hardest things and one of the most important things that you could possibly do is finding that lawyer. For the people, it's not a slogan. It's who they are. It's what they do. And they fight for every single one of their clients, making sure you get the proper compensation that you need. Over $13 billion over 30 years have been paid out to all of their clients when it comes to fair compensation. That's what Morgan & Morgan does. Over 800 attorneys and offices in Philadelphia, Florida, New York, and across the country. Morgan & Morgan and their army of lawyers are ready to fight for you to get the compensation that you so deserve. Size matters, man. And when you go to battle with Morgan & Morgan, they are number one when it comes to size and making sure that they can do the fight and finish the fight for you. The call is free. The consultation is free. Call them at 800-512-1600. That's 800-512-1600. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I promise you this, finding a lawyer always results in this 3 times the return when it comes to your compensation and finding a lawyer. And make sure you do it at Morgan & Morgan. And also make sure you tell them Big Sills sent you.
Many times when people are injured at a place of business, they don't realize they may have a case. The fact is, injuries should not happen. And most of the time when someone is injured, someone is at fault. Maybe the store manager installed a cheap, slippery floor, or there wasn't proper security. After an injury at a hotel, restaurant, store, or any place of business, it's so important to call us. Time matters, size matters. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.com.